Alright guys, so in today's video we're going to be talking more about this upcoming September 24th event, the media briefing that Sony plans on holding for The Last of Us Part 2. And this is a big deal because frankly, most games don't get this type of treatment. This is how you know The Last of Us Part 2 is a very big game, because it is not often that you see publishers like Sony actually dedicating an entire media event and sending out invitations to the press to come out and, check out what it is they're getting ready to show. But we all know what type of game The Last of Us Part 2 is, and we all know the expectation behind this game. And most of you are probably aware that I put out a video yesterday, a really short video just kind of announcing this information, but a few other things have come up since the time of that recording that I wanted to take some time here to go over. One of the big things that I kind of realized after recording that video is that, and I don't think I mentioned this within that video, is that there is a pretty good chance that whatever it is that Sony is planning on showing, whatever it is that Naughty Dog is planning on showing on September 24th may be behind closed doors, because it's been made pretty clear that it's just the press and the media that they're inviting. And so we have to think to ourselves, if this is the case, does this mean we're not going to see anything? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We may not necessarily see something on the 24th itself. I'm sure we will hear something for sure. There may be even a few leaks or rumors that crop up before then. But on the 24th, we are going to hear something for sure. But it makes me think, is Sony going to have a second event? We do know that Outbreak Day is September 26th, just 2 days later. And we've been speculating for a while now that it would make a lot of sense for Sony and Naughty Dog to decide to do something with The Last of Us Part 2 on Outbreak Day. There's really no reason why they shouldn't. And when you think about the timing of this press event on the 24th, it seems to me that they're going to reveal some stuff to the press, maybe even let them get some hands-on time with it, potentially. Most likely not. I think that it's too soon for that. But at the very least, they're going to show and reveal a lot to the press, and the press is going to be allowed to write about it and report on it. And then just 2 days later, I think Sony's going to host a second event, potentially a big state of play, where they're going to reveal everything that they showed to the press, or most of what they showed to the press. There's also the chance they could do it like this. They could decide to show the press much more than they're planning on showing us, and only showing us maybe half of what was shown to the press on the 26th, and then letting the press and the media kind of write about it and have their own little thing that they can talk about, and it's just exclusive to them. That's potentially something they could do. But the reason why I'm talking about the second event is because a well-known industry insider, Z Huge, apparently somebody made me aware of the fact that on a Reset Era forum, I don't really spend too much time at Reset Era, I don't really go there too often, if ever, but somebody made me aware that he actually posted something in a forum where he said this is not the only Sony event that week. So he's pretty much confirming that Sony is going to be hosting two events. One is seemingly going to be for the media, and the other is going to be for us, right? And it might not be a state of play. We can only assume that that's what it would be, because that's something that Sony's been doing. We actually haven't heard anything about state of play in a while. For all we know, maybe Sony decided to cancel it. I don't think that's likely, but there is a chance. But if I'm being honest, I don't really think it's going to be a state of play, because I feel like The Last of Us Part 2 giving information out on that game is similar to what we saw with Death Stranding this year, where it's just such a big game, it's such an exciting game, it's one of Sony's bigger titles, that it can stand on its own. It really doesn't need to rely on state of play at all. In fact, it would be the other way around. I would argue that if they were to actually host a state of play and they have all this big information that they're going to reveal about The Last of Us Part 2, I think at that point it may actually really throw people off in the future of what to expect from PlayStation's state of play live streams, you know what I mean? But at the same time, if they want to boost what people, think about, how people think about state of play, that would be the perfect way to do it. But either way, we are going to get something. And that's why I really wanted to make this video, because I did see some people kind of getting a little bit down because they're like, oh, it's just a media event, you know, they're probably not going to show much. And, you know, we do have to kind of speculate on what exactly it is that Naughty Dog is planning on showing of The Last of Us Part 2. I think the most obvious thing that we are going to get out of this event is a release date. It's just gotten to a point where there's absolutely no way that Sony or Naughty Dog could come out here and even mention this game without mentioning a release date or a release window. I think that we're going to get a specific release date, though, and I think we're going to find out it's either going to be February of 2020 or it's going to end up being May of 2020, one of those 2 months. But I think February seems more likely, if I'm being honest, because we have to imagine, you know, they've been working incredibly hard over this past year. That's why they've been so silent and so quiet. They're working incredibly hard to probably not only have this game ready for the PS4, but something tells me that we're going to hear more about The Last of Us in regards to the PS5 to some capacity. Maybe not necessarily this month. It seems a little too soon. But, you know, if that rumor we heard about Sony getting ready to reveal the PlayStation 5 at a February 2020 event is true, and that's the same month they plan on releasing The Last of Us Part 2, there could be some big things going on there. But other than that, I would expect, obviously, a new trailer to some capacity. I do think we're going to get new gameplay. Again, I personally think that this is going to be the big news blowout that we've been waiting for a while now. And knowing that there's going to be 2 different events here, one that you need to keep in mind, again, like, it's not often that the press is invited out and there's media invitations sent out for just a single game. It's very rare that that happens, you know, in the industry, and when it does, you can bet that you're going to get some big things out of it. So, you know, other than that, something that I honestly hope to see, well, there's 2 things. And maybe I'm asking for a little bit too much here. I know that there's a lot of people who've went on record saying that they don't need to see anything more of The Last of Us Part 2. They're already sold on it, and I totally understand that. But I just feel like I can't not pay attention to it. You know what I mean? Like, if we get new gameplay, I'm going to want to see the gameplay. Speaking of gameplay, I don't know what footage I'm going to have in the background of this video. It may not be gameplay because for some reason, YouTube seems to flag my videos anytime I choose to use the Last of Us gameplay. I think it's kind of understandable. They usually end up getting flagged for like extreme violence, and that's not good for my channel at all. It's not even a matter of demonetization. It is just a matter of, you know, if you do that enough times, you can kind of, your channel can get marked, you know what I mean, as like, oh, this is like edgy content or whatever, and I'm not trying to do that. I don't want to go down that road. So I may just have like an interview session or something with Neil Druckmann or whatever in the background. I just wanted to mention that. I probably should have mentioned that earlier in the video. But I'm somebody that whatever we see at this event, whatever information we get, whatever trailer, unless it's like a story leak or something like that, that's stuff I'm going to stay away from. I'm going to be paying attention to most of that official stuff we get. And I'm honestly really hoping the 2 things that we see are, I want to see Joel. I want to really get a better idea of the role he's going to play within The Last of Us Part 2. You know, he was the main character in the first game, and he's going to play an absolutely huge role within the second game. And I think the big question that most people have is, are we going to play as him at all? And I don't know. I think we will at some point, maybe during a short segment, similar to in The Last of Us Part 1, or just The Last of Us, when you play as Ellie for that short segment. I think that we'll see that with Joel potentially. And the other thing is, I hope that they talk a little bit, at least to some capacity, about the multiplayer and the online, because this is something that I feel like gets kind of swept under the rug when it comes to a lot of Sony's games, because most of them don't actually have multiplayer. But anybody who's played The Last of Us multiplayer, I think, can you know, agree with me when I say that it's actually a solid experience, and there's a lot of potential there for some big things to happen. And we know that Sony is trying to do more in the multiplayer section, and obviously that's not the main thing that people want to see at a September 24th or September 26th Outbreak Day event. But if it's going to be the big blowout of information, I hope we, even if it's just information, right? Like, we don't have to get like a full-blown multiplayer trailer or anything like that. Just simply like letting us know what we can expect from it, right? I think that that would honestly be a really nice thing to have. And so really what this all comes down to is it seems like we're going to be getting 2 events. On September 24th, the media is being invited out, and they're probably going to get shown a lot of stuff behind closed doors. And I'm predicting here right now that they are going to be shown things that we are not going to be shown, and they're going to write about them and report on them. And then on September 26th, we're going to get a lot of information, but there's still going to be some stuff held back. I'm just hoping, and this is the only negative thing I'm going to say in this video, I hope it's not a situation where we're getting ourselves hyped, or at least I'm getting hyped, and we've waited this long, you know what I mean? I know there's people who've been waiting a lot longer than I have, and it's really just something super small. But if I'm being honest, even if we just get the release date at this point with a small trailer, I think I'd be satisfied with that. But either way, big things are happening in the coming months. We know that coming up, very soon here, we're going to get 80 minutes of Death Stranding gameplay, which is awesome. And then later this month, we're going to get more on The Last of Us Part 2. So exciting times ahead. Be sure to, keep posted on the channel here, because I will be updating you guys along the way. But that's going to do it for the video. I would like it if you would leave your thoughts down below. Do you think that Sony is going to be doing 2 events? Do you think, and that one event's going to be just for the media and the other event's going to be for us? If so, what are you hoping to see? Be sure to leave the video a like if you did enjoy it or found it helpful at all. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit the bell notification icon, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.